There we go. It's a new learning management system that is allowing teachers and students to access the best content, the best lessons, the best teachers from any place, any time. And what it does is allow for instruction to be informed based on the data that is being collected that the students are submitting. This is also Ruth Hester, and she is our primary specialist, our elementary specialist, and I'm so glad to have her. So what we're going to do is essentially just kind of show you how Edify functions in the sense that we can have a student take an assessment, we can gather data really, really quickly, and then we can make some decisions, both on how to differentiate the instruction, but also personalize it based on how the student performed on just that single assessment, okay? This view that you're seeing is the view that grades 4 through 12C. We are in the process of developing a new K-3 interface that will make it obviously more user-friendly for the younger grade levels, okay? And we'll be showing that to you shortly. So as we go through this, just kind of keep in mind, like, the buttons will be different and it'll be more primary pretty, I guess if you want to call it. Okay, so the login screen is very simple. Username and password. It will be aligned to whatever schools are using for their students. And maybe.
So it is your network login. So if you already have students who log into the network, it'll be the same.
Yeah. And apparently we're moving slowly. I don't know what's going on.
That's how it will be.
Okay, here we go. This is a sample student, okay? And what Mike sees when he first logs in is his dashboard. Up here at the top, we have all of the communication features. These same types of features will be available for younger students as well. Again, they'll just look a little different, all right? We have notifications, which is any form of communication between the student and the teacher or other students, signifying assessments are graded or due dates have been changed or, you know, whatever, all right? The performance dropdown offers a visual cue to the students as to how they are performing across all of the courses that they're enrolled in. Now, what this says is that of the standards that this student has been assessed on so far, here's how he's performing. Okay, so he is struggling a little bit, but he does have some areas in which he's doing okay. Green signifies that he has met that mastery threshold of 80 or above. The yellow is between 60 and 80, and the red is below 60.
And again, we can set those data points.
Yes. They are customizable for the course, but then also within specific assessments as well, if there need to be that absolute pass-fail situation. Okay. To enter a course, it's simply clicking on the name. And when we go into it, you'll see it looks just like that main dashboard. Okay. The idea here is that simplicity is of the utmost importance. We want the system to be easy to use, not only for students, but also for teachers. And you'll see in just a second when we get into the teacher account, it looks exactly the same. So everybody is literally on the same page. Okay, so when there's a problem, it's easy to solve. Navigation is really simple, just push button or drop down. But I do want to show you this. There's also a performance drop-down inside of the course. And now when we do this, what we get is a pacing guide based off the due dates within the course. But also, now our progress chart looks a little bit different. Now it's specific to the data within this course. So of the standards that Mike has been assessed on so far in this EduCurious course, here's how he's doing.
So when she speaks course, it could be phonemic awareness. Okay, so just substitute those.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to take a quick 5-question assessment to just show you how quickly the data gets gathered and what happens as a result. Now, this is a science assessment, and I'm going to get questions wrong on purpose. There are all different forms of assessment questions, and we have really taken into account the shift to digital test setting. And so we've looked at models, and we are continuing to add new test item types. This is one of the ones that we created. It's called Mad Libs, and it's simply click and drag. It works on any kind of device. Okay, it's built on what's called responsive design. So tablet or computer or phone, students can access these resources, they can access the assessments, they can access anything within the course. This is a plotting question. So teachers can load in any image that they have. They can identify specific areas that they want the student to drag their answer from the answer pool down to, or, they can leave the image as is and tell the students they need to drag the red dot to the appropriate location. One of my favorite pieces, it's a little bit hard to see here, within the assessment component is students, if they have a question as they're taking a test, can actually message the teacher directly from that question. So when the teacher receives the email from the student, it says which course, which lesson, which assessment, which test number the student was struggling with, and the student's message then appears. So if this assessment is being given at the beginning of a class period, and the teacher is kind of monitoring what is going on, they'll get that message immediately, and they can intervene right away and help the student with what they need. This is another example of a plotting question, and the reason that I like this one is because it shows that really plotting can be as detailed as you saw on the previous image, or as simplistic as this. So this is a Punnett square. It's a basic chart. You can see I don't really have areas that are highlighted, but my answers indicate the writing that would typically go in those boxes. And then lastly, with another Mad Libs, what's worth pointing out here is that there are extra answers in this answer pool. So for any Mad Libs question that you create, you can add up to 5 extra answers in that answer pool to obviously ramp up the rigor. So I'm going to submit this assessment. Every question was auto-graded, so we'll receive our feedback very quickly. Now, we have the option when we create assessments to determine what we want that feedback to look like. Do we want just the score to appear? Do we want the questions to appear with an answer key? Or do we want them to look like this, where we simply have the question and the answer that was chosen? And if it was chosen incorrectly, we don't show them the correct answer. Okay? What you'll also notice, though, is connected with this question is a standard, okay? Every assessment item that we have in our test bank, all 85,000 of them, are linked directly to a standard or more, okay? Some of them are double tagged. What this means is that the system is then able to gather that data on how the student performed and gather that threshold data that you saw in the beginning, okay? But it also allows allows the system to work with the resources that are in the system. Now we have over 12,000 resources, and they're anything from videos or PDFs or PowerPoints or interactive websites, all right? And those resources are also tagged with standards. So when a student does not meet that threshold of mastery, what happens is that resources automatically generate for the student and are placed at the bottom of the assessment, okay? 2 resources per standard will be provided to the student so they're not overwhelmed, okay? And what happens as a result, the student has a couple of different options. They can, if they want to verify which standard that resource is connected to, they can click on the link there. If the resource that they used was really helpful, they can, thumbs up, thumbs down, and that goes into our system and in the process of which resources get recommended. If a resource is continually rated highly, that's one of the first ones that's going to be provided. So right here alone, we have an opportunity for the students learning to become personalized. All right, so if you have a student in your class who doesn't do so well, and you are doing some workshopping around your room, they have a starting point. So that's pretty cool. One of my favorite pieces about this, though, is that this select assessment list will grow. So as the student moves through the course, this list will get longer and longer and longer, and the student will essentially have a personalized study guide for the entire course based on all of those areas in which they needed remediation. Make sense? Okay.